I'm Ashton from the Crypto Coin Show. Today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Shibtoshi, CEO and founder of SquidGrow. Shibtoshi, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise, I've seen SquidGrow around. I know there's a huge ecosystem full of different parts, and you guys have a good ideology in what that I think and where blockchain is going and should be going. I'm excited to dive into all of that today. I know there's a lot of latest updates. I'd love to start off from a high level for those who haven't heard of SquidGrow or don't know about what all of the ecosystem encompasses, a little bit about each of the parts, and then we can dive into the most important details.
Yeah, so first and foremost, SquidGrow launched in June of 2022. And obviously, we started out our early days as a meme token, but we had very early ambitions to build high-level utility. So recently, we've kind of adopted the mindset that we're a meme utility token. We launched on the BSC chain, and about a year into it, we launched another sister chain on Ethereum. And so we were multi-chain for a while, and very recently we migrated again to just Ethereum. Just to try to mitigate all the arbitrage that was going on between the chains. We knew there'd be some kind of level of arbitrage, but try to minimize it the most that we can. So our home field now is Ethereum. That's where we're at. And, we had an emphasis on building community. Obviously, I think everybody in the space knows that community is key, and without good support from your community, you really can't. It's really hard to gain any momentum because the community, day in and day out, they're the ones spreading the message, spreading awareness of what you're working on, and that's how you get out of that algo that you sometimes find yourself stuck in.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think that's a smart choice. Sticking to Ethereum, that's where the network effect is, and no blockchain's perfect, but I think the community is the longest standing on Ethereum, and I love that it's a meme coin, but there's also utility, and I think that's really important because if you want to last for longer than until people get bored of sort of a meme coin that really doesn't have a purpose behind it, I think that SquidGrow has a lot more of a purpose between the applications that are being built on the ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, obviously memes are good for quick X's and quick gains, but after that initial hype phase kind of comes and goes, you got to have something to fall back on. And for me, in my belief, it's utility, but it's developing utility that actually has a strong use case to the masses. So that's kind of where our emphasis is. But you got to have a good balance of both because, obviously there's a meme meta, and, there's a lot of meme tokens out there that do amazing things. But in a lot of cases, or in some cases, after that initial hype phase fades away, what do you have to fall back on? And for me, as I said a little earlier, I think it's utility. So that's where our emphasis has been. We've been building utilities through the bear market for the last 2.5 years. And, we're getting ready to drop one of our utilities that I'm actually really excited about, SilentSwap. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that here shortly.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting. And I think when I look at utilities or some of the most important functionalities of blockchain right now, obviously decentralized exchanges, being able to trade different coins, NFTs is a great use case as well, and swapping, especially when there's multiple blockchains involved and there's all these different chains. It's like, how can we do it easily? And I think if you can combine community and meme coins with these kinds of applications that are the most important functions of decentralized finance, I feel like you have something really going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. One key thing to keep in mind, obviously, is I feel like there's an importance that everybody needs to have and retain access to their keys, because if you trade solely on a crypto exchange, obviously not your keys, not your crypto. And there's been many examples of crypto exchanges going belly up, taking your money, and just because you show a balance in your account doesn't necessarily mean that you have access to those funds. it's the exchange itself that holds those assets. So unlike a custodial wallet, you can move them in an instant. You don't need anybody's approval. You don't need any kind of authentications. You don't need anybody to sign off on it. And I think that's very important in this space, especially like, FTX, for example. I mean, look at how many people got wrecked with that whole thing. Everybody showed a balance in their accounts, but when there was a liquidity issue, there wasn't enough liquidity for anybody to get their money out. So, you know, um, for me, kind of like with SilentSwap, um, I felt it was very important that the user maintains complete control over their assets every step of the way, not being dependent on any kind of third party taking control of their assets. And, that's kind of my mindset. The attraction to crypto for me in the early days was obviously, stemming the 2008 crash that occurred when I got into Bitcoin in 2011. My attraction to it was, there is no big brother that can come and essentially take your assets away from you. You don't really
Hmm.
necessarily have to, I mean, now keeping in mind, crypto doesn't have any FDIC, but that's only good for about 250 grand anyway. But the attraction to me was just the pioneer idea, of the underlying technology of Bitcoin. I think that, I thought at the time that, it was really what the world needed. And obviously it took some time for the crypto to catch on, but look at it now, Bitcoin's trading around $75,000. Back then it was a couple bucks. So, I think more and more people are starting to catch on and realize the need for crypto, but also they need to remember that, although it's easy to go into an exchange and, create an account, you don't hold your keys, and that's important. That's
Hmm.
why, self-custody is the way to go, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. People need to understand both, and sometimes it's fun to go on the exchange, but yeah, when you have everything on there, including your for FTX people, all of your funds and your salary and everything, that's a huge risk. And obviously, having non-custodial in there, where you control your keys, you control your coins, they can't be moved around. That's very important, and I'm guessing that's part of the ethos of SilentSwap. If you could talk a little bit more about how exactly it works. Obviously, I'm guessing you have your keys. You can go and you can swap, and there's no counterparties that can ever move your coins. And what else is there to SilentSwap?
So first, I will say that, I think um, when somebody hears about a privacy question aggregator, they're going to instantly think about Tornado Cash. So real quick, I just kind of want to point out the difference between the two. So Tornado Cash, obviously made its reputation in the space, but Tornado Cash was a mixer. And I'll give you an example. So if you've got two miners, let's say two people that mined maybe one Bitcoin a piece, and they decided that they didn't want to connect that wallet to another wallet, they were using something like Tornado Cash, and then you have some illegal entity that is also utilizing Tornado Cash. You're putting clean Bitcoins that were just mined into Tornado Cash, and it's mixing with this dirty crypto that's, tainted. And, the byproduct of that is now, you might have tainted pieces of your Shitoshis in this Bitcoin that you now have. And, so essentially you have dirty money, so to speak. And following everything that essentially came from Silk Road and the court case with that, the United States government deemed that any crypto that or any Bitcoin that passed through Silk Road can be forfeit to the United States government. And so a mixer essentially is just mixing everything together and you're able to withdraw it as you please. With SilentSwap, it's quite a long spiel, but it's a privacy crushing aggregator that is decentralized, trustless, and non-custodial. And a highlight real quick is on SilentSwap is we're not taking users' funds and mixing it together. As I said, it's truly non-custodial. So you maintain control of your assets every step of the way. It's not mixing with any other counterpart.
Hmm.
Um, and I will also say that we have a United States legal opinion in the United States that deems that we are in compliance. We have OFAC implemented on the platform as well, just to do the best that we can to make sure that bad actors aren't interacting on our platform. So we're doing the best that we can. And then we kind of, for security, obviously we have multiple audits on it, hacking. We got a perfect score of 10 on it. But at no time is your crypto assets intermingling with anybody else's. I mean, it's you have custodial of it. Now, the backbone of SilentSwap is Secret Network. Secret Network is a privacy blockchain, and that is the privacy layer that we have partnered with and have used on this platform. So, essentially, you go to SilentSwap, you connect your wallet, and you essentially put your outputs of what you're starting with, what you want to go to, and you initiate the swap. Obviously, you have a couple signings that you have to do, and it will move your assets through the different bridging and swaps that are decentralized to get it to where it wants to go. And it kind of breaks the trail, so to speak, when it gets to the secret network. Obviously, it's a privacy chain. And when it spits it out to your destination address, it's very hard to trace. Now, I can't sit here and guarantee that it's untraceable. That would probably be setting myself up for some kind of legal implications or some kind of future legal battles. But what it does a really good job at breaking that obvious connection on the platform. And something different about SilentSwap is, as of right now, it's all EVM compatible. We are working on our V2 that will incorporate native Bitcoin and Solana. But on most platforms that are custodial-based privacy cross-chain aggregator, you can only do from wallet A to wallet B. You move from one wallet to another wallet. On SilentSwap, you can split your assets up to 16 different wallets. As of right now, it's 8 different blockchains, and every asset on that blockchain. So if you have $16,000 and you want to split it up across 16 different wallets and different assets, you have the ability to do that on the platform. And this we started building this application about a year ago. It will be a year in December. And I quite frankly, I was just tired of my assets just being tracked around. I was tired of being busted. I was tired of sending friends and family money and their wallets are being tracked because one of my wallets are being watched and their internal addresses are getting doxxed, which is essentially connecting all the clusters together that's ever interacted. It's a problem. So I started looking for a solution on how we could go about building something that would allow a level of privacy, because everybody said in the early days that Bitcoin is private, it's anonymous, and yes, that's true. But when somebody owns an address, you can then track that address. And I think that the focus is starting to turn towards privacy. I don't think anybody in the world would be happy about anybody's Zelle or Venmo transactions being tracked and being opened. And thinking about it a little more, when crypto is a little more widely adopted, maybe you're paying a doctor's office in crypto, and you don't want the world to see that you're interacting with a doctor's office, or maybe this address is tied to a specific location, this specific office. That would essentially dox your location. If you're interacting with a business that's in this area, people might think that you're located in that area. And I'll go a step further. In New York, Slum Doge Millionaire, who gained notoriety and his reputation with his diamond hands of Dogecoin, he's a good friend of mine. In New York, he went to a pizza place and he bought pizza with his Dogecoin. So obviously, Slum Doge is different from myself in the way that, obviously he's not anonymous. But there's a security risk there, because at that point in time, when he chose to transact from his Doge wallets, which are being tracked, to this location in New York, it told the entire world that that's where he was at that point in time. And that's a security risk. And this is another, underlining potential use case for something like SilentSwap. If you're just trying to transact privately, you're trying to obfuscate your location, or doing business with local entities, like you don't want everybody to know your business. So and so going into this, I wanted to try to solve that issue of how we could do something on a privacy level, but also allow users to maintain control of their assets every step of the way. And there wasn't anything out at the time. And there's still, as far as to my knowledge, there's nothing out there. There are privacy cross-chain aggregators out there, but they're utilizing APIs and centralized exchanges. So obviously you're giving custody of your assets to the exchange. The exchange does all the swaps for you, and then it routes your output token to the wallet that you designate, but you're still giving up that control. And if you've ever transferred any kind of assets for any prolonged period of time, and estimation swap time 16 minutes and it turns into 3 hours, you start sweating a little bit. You're like, man, I sent my crypto to a third party. Like, what happens, if I don't get my assets? With SilentSwap, you keep absolute control of your assets, and if you ever need to, stop the process and revert it back, you have the ability to do that. So, and we are in beta right now for SilentSwap, but we're always pushing the envelope to make it better. And we have already started our V2 solution, which is just going to be even bigger game changer. So very
Wow.
exciting.
That's incredible, Shibtoshi, and there's a lot of different points to cover there. I think an important one you mentioned at the beginning there is that you're not mixing with other people's funds, because who knows where other people got their coins. They're your coins being transferred, and you have control of them. And so that combined with the second part you mentioned about trying to follow, the OFAC regulations and follow all the rules. I think is important. And I have a question in relation to that, because now we've just seen a huge pro Bitcoin president, and the administration of the U.S. It seems like a lot of them are being pro crypto, which is exciting. And we can hope that that's going to help the industry overall. What are your thoughts on how crypto could benefit from this, and also the technologies that SquidGrow is working on? Do you think the administration that's now changing over, you think that's going to help the industry overall and these technologies?
Yeah. So in the Nashville event, Bitcoin Nashville, Donald Trump did a speech there, and he made mention of Bitcoin reserves for the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself is massive. And now that Donald Trump is going to be the acting president for the next 4 years with his crypto stance, and everybody surrounding him, such as Elon and everybody else, I mean, I think that we're going to see an uptick in kind of how at least the United States perceives cryptocurrency, because for the last 4 years, it's been a very negative thing for us, right? As we've seen over the last couple of years, it's regulatory frameworks come out that's made it a little more harder for us to interact in the United States. And now we have somebody in office that's kind of pro crypto. I think that it could be good for the crypto as a whole and the rest of the world. And with him saying that he's interested in a Bitcoin reserve potentially, I mean, that's massive in itself. Obviously there's other countries that have already adopted crypto, and Bitcoin is the currency in some of those countries. If the United States gets on board with that, it could be massive for the space. I think at this point it's just a matter of time, before obviously we've seen the Trump pump, after the election. I mean, Bitcoin hit all-time high, I think $76,000.
Mm-hmm.
We're trading 75,000 right now. So it's definitely a good uptick. But, something, and this is a hypothetical use case, but, let's say we have a government that has adopted cryptocurrency. Maybe they don't want the other countries in the world to kind of see what they're doing with their Bitcoins. And in this hypothetical situation, SilentSwap could be a solution for that. It would allow a government to move assets around in a private manner, where everybody else in the world could not see what they are doing and where it's going. Maybe the U.S. doesn't want their Bitcoin reserve wallet known.
Definitely.
So it's one of the many use cases that could come about from this. I mean, obviously that's a stretch, but hypothetically, it could definitely be a use case in that
Yeah,
regard.
no, I was thinking the same thing. Like, obviously, big governments, although public officials, they should be accountable to the people. So maybe we should be able to see it. But also these major institutions as well. I can imagine, as a lot of them understand, they have ETF Bitcoin positions, and they're like, we should get actual Bitcoin, but we also want to protect the privacy of it. Is there, does the technology work the same if you are trading, $10 versus 100 million with an institution?
Correct. So on SilentSwap, at least V1, we have a max transaction cap right now. So contingent on GMP Express, which allows, and this is one of the ways that our platform is so fast, you can do a transaction in a matter of 15 minutes from start to finish on Ethereum. So obviously we don't have to wait that 30 minutes for the block finality to finish, but we have GMP Express. So with our current GMP Express, we have a max transaction cap at $20,000 right now per transaction.
Mm-hmm.
I have personally tested $250,000 transactions through the platform. Now, obviously that was outside of GMP Express, so the transaction itself took about 30, 40 minutes in the various instances that we've tested. And so we've kind of capped it so we can always deliver on that really quick turnaround time. Nobody wants, to sit around waiting for their assets. Although you have complete control over your assets every step of the way, you want to just get it done and over with, right? Maybe there's
Yeah.
a project and you want to get it funded. So for V1, we have a cap at 20,000. So it would not be possible, obviously, right now for hundreds of millions of dollars in a single transaction. But V2 is a complete game changer. And that limitation will fall away. But for now,
Mm-hmm.
it's a $20,000 max transaction. But we've very thoroughly tested numerous limits. But I just want that quick and responsive turnaround and the cheap fees. And that's another highlight on our platform. As just an example, to move $10,000 on our platform, it costs you about $80. There's a 0.5% fee that we are implementing on the platform to start out with. So our fee off of a $10,000 transaction is $40. The other $40 fee is going to be gas, bridging fees, so on and so forth, because we use these
Mm-hmm.
decentralized bridges and swapping mechanisms to facilitate the swap. So there's a fee, um, you know, that incurs with that. But some of the competition for $10,000, you're going to be paying fees of upwards of, it used to be $600, but I think they've got a little more competitive. It's about $400 now. And, you're looking at every bit of at least 30, 40 minutes to use these platforms, and you're giving it to a third party. So, with the V1, we wanted to roll something out that was quick and efficient and, cheap. And, aspects of SilentSwap is we are always looking for arbitrage opportunities. So if you use the platform, sometimes you'll see a green number, in the fee breakdown. That's because you've gained somewhere. So we are arbitraging different liquidity pools. So if we start the process and the platform sees that there's a better opportunity over here, it will arbitrage that to gain. So in the early days, obviously there was, 20, 30, $40 gains that you could see. We're not really seeing that anymore. The gains we're seeing, are, minuscule, a couple of dollars, maybe 8, 11, $12, but that takes off of the overall fee. So, that $80 fee now is essentially $70.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're always going to improve upon that. So V2, I won't get into a lot of details on that, but it's going to be an absolute game changer. I'm very excited about that. But we first need to get V1 out. And at this point in time, just with the beta, when we initialized the beta during token 2049, we've done a little over 400,000, or excuse me, 400 transactions. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. We've done over 600 transactions for a little over 400,000 in volume. So there's not been a lot of volume ran through it, but it's the beta. It was the time that, we wanted people to come in, use the platform, try to break it so we can improve upon it. And the platform for the last couple of weeks has been extremely stable. We haven't had any issues with it so far. So I'm, getting close to pulling the trigger on it. I actually got my entire team out here in California for this event that we're doing with Secret Network, and we're going to be having a lot of discussions about, the upcoming weeks for SilentSwap, and hopefully, we push it live here real quick.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting, and that makes sense. Obviously there has to be a little bit of fees, especially when you have gas, bridging, and the value of having that privacy. There's an intrinsic cost in that is, I'm sure, worth it for many. And one thing that you kept mentioning is, you want to get it done, you want to make it convenient, which I think is important for adoption of anything, to have it easy to use, low barriers to entry. How much of a focus is on that as everything gets fine-tuned, and then or is it like the technology is good enough, people will come, but how can you make it so that it's like easy to use?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward to use now. I mean, we've made everything pretty much self-explanatory. If anybody's familiar with a simple swap, the platform's very, very easy to use. I mean, it's essentially, you go to the platform, you connect your wallet, you got your input token, your output token. and you just initialize. And it does everything for you, and it shows you the process as it goes. Like, it will show you literally like every bridging and swap that is occurring. Everything converts to USDC, and that is how we are able to arbitrage the different liquidity pools, because USDC stays pretty stable, but maybe there's an arbitrage opportunity over here with wrapped Bitcoin, right? And maybe we can arbitrage for a gain right there, or maybe there's an arbitrage opportunity for Ethereum or any of the other assets that are out there. So we convert everything to USDC. That's what utilizes GMP Express, and but it's very common to see like the assets flip flopping to different things, and that's us arbitraging the different liquidity pools. But the platform itself, in my personal opinion, is pretty straightforward. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's not very complex. I think that users will appreciate, how simple it is to understand kind of what's going on. And like I said, if you've ever done like a swap within a wallet and you're converting, ETH to BNB, I mean, it's really that simple. You input token, the amount that you want, and then you can just start the swap. You also have the max function that you can essentially send everything in the origin wallet if you want, make it easy, or you can split it up. I mean, it's really straightforward. We put a lot of time, energy, and effort into this, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from not only the Squid Grow whales, but also all the beta testers as well, and community members in Squid Grow. And we take into consideration all the feedback that we've got. So, we're utilizing that time to make sure that it's the best that we can possibly roll out at this point in time. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. I think anybody that rolls something out and say that it's perfect, I think that they lack long-term, mindset on it and views. But, it's the best that we could do for the time being, and we know even better than V1 is going to be V2. So it's just a continuous moving forward and trying to, elevate this into the masses to see that, I think majority of the space actually know that, they want privacy. So I think this application is going to come during the perfect time. I mean, obviously the market's cooking right now, and there's a lot of profits that are going to be flowing here pretty soon. And maybe you don't want your profits to be connected to a whale wallet that made money on. Something like this allows you the ability to kind of split it up. Or another use case for this is like myself. I've been using it to do payroll for my company, my entire team, instead of having to transfer money to the exchange and send from the exchange, or transfer into a fresh wallet and then pay everybody. But it's essentially everybody's wallets are connected to that pay wallet. I can very easily go to SilentSwap, plug in different addresses, different pay amounts, and initiate a swap. So I think there's a strong use case for companies that have payroll in crypto as well. Also VCs, if VCs don't want their competitors to see them like kind of jump into different positions, they can kind of use SilentSwap to kind of cover their tracks, so to speak. So there's many use cases. And one of our partners, Zebu, they're a telecom company, and they settle these contracts, and they're doing $15 to $20 million in volume a day. So far to date, they've done over $4 billion in volume in the last year that they've been around. And how the partnership came about was, their customer base wanted them to implement something that was a little more private. So the competition of everybody, the competition of their customers can't follow their tracks. And we engaged in conversations, and eventually we locked in a partnership. So that's another massive one, and we have another equally massive partnership cooking right now. They're reviewing the contract. It's too soon to speak on who they are, but this company so far to date has done over 1.5 billion in volume as well. So
Wow.
trying to get integrated into different applications, I think will be good for the community. And how SilentSwap and all of our utilities kind of tie in together is, obviously SilentSwap is a revenue generating platform, and percentages of all the revenue from collected from our utilities, a percent of that will go into the chart in the form of a buyback or liquidity injection.
Mhm.
Now we do have other utilities. We're like partnered with Mike S. Miller from DC Comics, and he's comic book artist from DC Comics, Game of Thrones. He did all the artwork from them. He's done our NFT collection, and we developed an NFT marketplace as well. But obviously this isn't the NFT market right now, so we kind of put that on the back.
Mhm.
All focus for us is on SilentSwap. But my point with saying that is, all of the utilities that we ever develop at SquidGrow, the token itself will benefit from revenue share essentially, and percentages of everything will go into the chart. And I think that that is an attraction. Obviously, that is me. So one thing to note real quick. So we've been around 2.5 years, and when we were a tax token, 100% of the tax went to our liquidity pool. The project itself did not collect anything. I have self-funded everything out of pocket for the duration of the project. And obviously, these revenue generating utilities is how I start paying myself back. So with the rev share, it's just essentially me taking revenue from a utility that I own and buying an asset that I really believe in, being SquidGrow. So there's nothing really more to that, but the byproduct of that is, that benefits the community.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm glad you mentioned that. That was going to be my next question was, at the beginning we said, okay, there's a meme coin with utility, and that's actually the Squid Grow token that's a part of the ecosystem as well. So I'm glad you mentioned that about the buyback revenue share. And, it makes sense that if you are utilizing SilentSwap, you're a part of the Squid Grow ecosystem, then you're getting involved in the Squid Grow token. And if you're doing transactions, the transaction fees are actually going towards the buyback of the token. You're sort of like fueling it. So that's really cool. I appreciate you mentioning that. And I'm really looking forward to V2 because it sounds like whatever small restrictions on the testing that you had. With that, $400,000 that's gone through, tested it. Now it's time to take it to the next level. Right at the perfect time, I think, as well, because of the market is now fueling profits into the market, and I think people are going to be wanting. One of the use cases is to move those profits around. So I feel like the timing is pretty good. What do you think about the timing of Q4 and Q1 2025 for where the market's at and how the timing of V2 is launching?
So obviously V2 is under development right now, and I won't speak on a timeline on that, but we're trying to get it out as soon as we can. But keep in mind, we've got to fully launch V1. But there's definitely a lot of upgrades on V2. One of the things is, we're looking at gasless transactions, which is huge. So there's a lot of things that are essentially, coming out and evolving in the crypto space, essentially week by week that obviously V1 doesn't have. One of the reasons why, we've taken so long on V1 is as we were gearing up to actually push V1 live while we were in Texas for consensus, we decided we were going to implement GMP Express and CCTP. And, those are things that were relatively new. And what that did for the platform is obviously took the platform transaction time from 30 minutes down to as little as 6 minutes, depending on the blockchain that you're utilizing. Obviously BNB is very cheap, very quick. So those type of blockchains, like, you can transact very quick. Obviously, for me, I was trying to get the transaction time down for Ethereum, and we've been able to do that. So we're looking at on average 8 to 20 minutes. So it's still relatively quick. But my point is saying that is obviously, there's certain things that we definitely wanted to integrate into V1, and CCTP and GMP Express being one of those. But V2, there's so many other features that we want to implement, but we just did not want to push out the launch time any further. So, we just decided that we were going to launch V1 as is, and obviously with some small improvements, and then roll everything into V2 to just hammer it home and make it the best that it can possibly be. But with that said, although we're already working on V2, there's going to be a V3. I mean, we're going to just continue to improve upon it as we go. So I mean, it's not just like something we roll out, say we did it. It's something that requires a fully dedicated team of developers, and I mean, it's a full-time job, so
Yeah.
it's just not just a little side utility that we're launching just to check the box to the community that we put a utility out. Anytime that I'm funding a utility build, we're putting a lot of due diligence into it. We're looking at the market sentiment and trying to decide if this is something that could be useful and could this generate revenue. And everything that we've undertaken checked all those boxes. So we started the build process. So I'm very excited for it. As far as Q4 goes, I mean, dude, it's starting to cook right now. I mean, especially following the elections. I mean, Bitcoin had a crazy movement, and I think we're just getting going. I don't like to, talk about price predictions and whatnot, but I think, over the course of the next couple months, especially after the new administration gets in. I think it's going to have a very, very positive impact on the crypto market, and that's very beneficial, to the entire world that dabbles in crypto. Such a small percentage of the world right now, is even really aware of crypto, yet alone holding crypto. So there's so much
Hmm.
more definitely coming to the market, and that's good for everybody. I think an important tool to anybody that's involved in crypto is dollar cost averaging. I mean, that's a real thing. I mean, there's been many, many times that I've whaled into a project and just the price tanked and I've just lost my shirt, but dollar
Hmm.
cost averaging helps round that out. So, I think there's a lot of potential here for the crypto market with everything coming in, the later like Q4. So I'm just very excited. I think next 4 years is going to be an amazing time for us in crypto.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting times, and I appreciate your insights into the privacy and swapping functionality, which I think is will be very needed, and the demand for it will only grow as more people get involved. And as you reiterated, there's so many people are just starting to hold crypto, and then when they want to find out about other coins, then they realize, oh, I need something, to swap silently into those coins, and this is where that technology comes in hand. So I'm looking forward to checking out all the future iterations. So for right now, with the community, which obviously you said community is very important, what is the best way to get involved with the community or help out with the community, or just go and try the V1 to use SilentSwap?
So, our Squid Grow's website is squidgrow.com, and on that website you can find all of our social media links. You can also find us at Twitter. Our Twitter is at squid_grow. We have a verified gold check, and from there you can find our Telegram group. Telegram is where we're mostly active. Don't fall for any of the impersonating accounts. Like the Squid Grow channel has a verified blue check. So that's how you know you're in the right one. And then for SilentSwap information, our website is silentswap.com, and our Twitter account for SilentSwap is at silentswapcom, all one word. And obviously now for SilentSwap, we're in the beta version. So if you haven't signed up for beta, you can go to the website and sign up for the beta version. And we are whitelisting and sending out email notifications, by the thousands every day. So every day, we're sending out emails to everybody that signed up so they can come and try the application. I think we've done about 8,000 emails right now, whitelisted about 8,000 addresses. So, we're just getting going. At the time that we launched the whitelist, we had 20,000 signups. Obviously, Secret Network, our partner, had helped us run campaigns to spread the awareness, and been a very valuable thing for us. Shout out to Lisa at Secret Network. I mean, they're just, our visions just align. They're all about,
Mhm.
I obviously with the mask, enjoy my privacy. So yeah, that's
Definitely.
that's where you can get going. From there you can find our verified YouTube page, TikTok page, Instagram page, on the website. So, our community is amazing. Shout out to the Squid Grow community, day in and day out. They're out there spreading the message and spreading awareness. I mean, mad respect to everybody. I mean, that is exactly what it's about. As I said very early on, without community, you essentially have, in my opinion, you don't have anything. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Gives the team the purpose to get up day in and day out, deal with the stresses, dealing with the negativity, to go out there and work for these people that, put their trust in us. And I think that's something that, we haven't seen. And it's been a couple of years since 2021. And, obviously I missed 2021. You could just throw money into anything and it was just crazy gains. Now the market's changed. There's a lot of bad actors, and it's really hard to find very solid products and projects. And my purpose and focus on for Squid Grow was, to kind of have the mentality of community first. So, that's been our mindset from the very beginning. And, I mean, we previous to migration, we had about 23,000 holders. We migrated, so I think maybe about 4,000 of those holders have migrated over to ETH right now. Obviously, there's no claim time; they can claim whenever they want. But we have a Telegram that's got about 9,600 people in it, and it's just like day in and day out, just they're just in there spreading the message and, just blowing X up. So shout out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen the community on X and touting Squid Grow, and that's great. And I will leave a link to the X platform and the website links that you mentioned, and so that people can check it out. And of course, make sure that they look for the legit socials. But it sounds like you guys have a great community. I've seen them around. I appreciate your insights into this and your dedication towards building a technology that's going to help people and change the future. So thank you so much, Shibtoshi, for coming on the show. And I really do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for the outlet to come on here and talk a little nonsense, and it was a pleasure. This is my first video interview, so this is a first for me. So hopefully we can do it again. I really appreciate you, and it was a pleasure.